Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to take a couple minutes to talk about how the word compulsion is used within the dog training community by those who identify as balanced dog trainers, even while they engage in virtue signaling by way of calling out abusive situations, but again, motivated by continuing to market and sell this superficial idea of what training is, the way in which trainers are superficially motivating dogs to respond at the very beginning without understanding why that would be a problem, based again on dogs that have already gained a level of control in the relationship. Okay, this issue of defining a relationship problem. But again, this goes into this whole issue as to what is the role of influence. And again, there's certain words that are being used in the dog training world which totally misrepresent this issue, okay, in terms of just the confusion. So you hear words like compulsion, force, okay, and this goes to the issue about forcing a dog to respond. Talk about that. Issue of discipline, punishment, using corrections, using certain devices. So again, this all kind of plays into this whole issue as to what is a process, okay, and what is the role of influence at the very beginning once a dog owner is already experiencing an ongoing relationship problem with their dog. And taking this over to the parenting example, which is extremely helpful, okay, when I talk about why it is that in terms of how trainers are jumping into a relationship problem without considering beyond just responses, why this sets up and follows a path of bribery, but sets up a counterfeit picture for so many. Okay, understanding again the role of influence. Now, here's the thing. Again, as soon as you hear any trainer use the word compulsion, okay, it goes along with suppressing. Okay, so you hear compulsion, suppressing a dog's drive, but that goes in this whole thing about the confusion. Okay, so what's going on here? Where's the line here? What should you do in terms of how you engage a relationship problem? And again, going to the parenting example, it's no different than dealing with a relationship problem between a parent and an already selfish child. Understand, once a child has already become selfish, okay, it changes everything, okay? It changes everything in terms of if you choose to simply superficially, okay, generate responses at the very beginning and try to turn it into some sort of a learning-based exercise. Because then what that sets up is going to lead you into believing, assuming certain things that more often than not simply aren't true, okay, about those responses. Because understand, it's about what underpins those responses and connecting that back to, in terms of, the parental influence part of that, the parental role, in terms of, again, revealing truth, okay, through certain interactions. So when I talk about revealing truth, and again, this is one of the ways in which you can put what I say to the test, because again, I talk about what's revealed or not revealed through how you're generating responses. Consider the example of, the parenting example again, of the moments that a parent is bringing the child, putting a demand on the child, okay, following their, invoking parental influence. I say in the example I use is take the garbage out because I'm the parent, versus take the garbage out and here's $100. I mean, think about the difference in that. But think about what's revealed or not revealed. If it's just about responses, then what's the interpretation? It's just looking at the response alone. Well, what's happening here? Trainers are not understanding the role of influence at the beginning, so they're just looking at those responses and giving it a green light to say, well, if it looks good, it must be good, and that's the standard. Well, that's not what the standard should be, and there's your problem. Because again, taking this back to dogs as social animals, consider what's revealed through certain interactions, such as interacting with your dog on the leash, okay, where your dog's under a level of control, a level of influence is happening. If you're interacting the way that I show, you're going to see the real deal. I see challenge rise up for a dog that is holding a level of control. Okay, you already have a relationship problem, versus think about the off leash, using treats, right? Motivating dogs that way. Well, guess what? You're not going to see the real deal. You're going to see responses that can look fantastic, right? But then start to line this stuff up. Influence at the beginning. And so when I talk about, motivating a response, well, you need to look at that differently. All right, the dog coming into agreement with, okay, interactions that represent a type of language, okay, but influence being now part of the equation in terms of not just revealing the current state of the relationship, but change at the same time. So it's that type of duality happening. But understand here something. Again, you're seeing trainers, and that's why I talk about, why those who identify as balanced and force-free, they sound the same. They use the same language. They sound the same. They try and call it certain situations, but then talk about, using certain words such as, as compulsion, force. See, there you go. Not understanding, so they go the other way. And then as a result, in many, many situations, guess what? This picture becomes a counterfeit because the responses, are setting up in such a way that they're superficial. So, the dogs are moving around, going through the motions. But again, bribery-based, because you're engaging a relationship problem when the dog has already gained a level of control. And so, influence has to be intentional. It's got to align properly. To reverse course, understand this is the whole thing. That's why I call trainings a type of a intervention. It's not a learning-based exercise. Think about applying everything I say to the parenting example. It's the same outcomes. It's the same outcome. So you have to be able to step back from this to ask questions. But again, understand that when you hear trainers use certain words, that comes from confusion. So my encouragement to anyone watching my videos is to really step back, because understand that when the chips are down, and the picture doesn't line up, guess what is very common? Guess it's like a package deal. The dog gets the blame. There must be something wrong with the dog. Well, no, it's actually something terribly wrong with a process that fails to consider the role of influence at the very beginning. So again, encourage you. Check out my website, lots of great information. Thanks for watching.